because the last couple days I've been talking, and for some reason Facebook, the sound is really bad. So I'm going to wait a second for some people to get on. I'm going to just kind of redo the one I did yesterday that I talked with for about 15 minutes, and apparently there was no sound. Isn't that exciting? That's always happy. You know, today I'm going to start out while people are still hanging out. I want to talk about Stonehenge. Now, this is kind of a cool little replica here. I'm going to bring this in and while we're talking about this, but this was built about 5,000 years ago. Literally 5,000. This was built, well, more like 6,000. 6,000 years ago. This thing was built 2,000 years before the pyramids of Giza. And it's actually, if you go to Stonehenge, I've been there a couple times. In fact, I actually got this replica. There's a little store next to Stonehenge where you can get it. But it's just an amazing, amazing place. But you think about, and I'm going to tie this in with Jim Rohn and attitude, but can you imagine the attitude it must have taken? You know these stones here? This is these stones here, these big ones right here in front, and they were all the way around it. They weighed about 50 tons on average. That's 100,000 pounds. And they were dragged over 20 miles because they figured the quarry where they came from. Imagine that over 20 miles they dragged these pieces. These little stones here, they call some of them the blue stones, they weighed about 5 tons, 4 to 5 tons. So between 8 to 10,000 pounds. And some of these came as far back as 160 miles away. Okay, so the sound's good? All right. Good. 160 miles. Can you imagine dragging something that far? 160 miles? Granted, I mean, this is before trucks and tractors. I mean, imagine the attitude it must have taken to get to have gotten this done. I mean, obviously slave labor. You want some motivation. How about getting whipped? But they got it done. And it's just an amazing place. If you ever get a chance to go there, Stonehenge, it's weird because you'll be driving out into the country. It's literally in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden it just pops up. You you come down this hill, and there's this wide open space, and then you just see these iconic stones, and it's just really dramatic to come up on them. And you just look at them, and you think about the people who built these. I mean, obviously they use things like rollers and horses and just human energy to drag these things, these mountainous pieces of stone. And they're actually very deep. A lot of these are just as deep as they are high. So they had to, dig huge pits, somehow jack them up, either by building a hill and sliding them down. I mean, it must have taken just 100 years to build this thing, but I don't want to go off on that too long. But talk about attitude. Having an attitude to build something like that. And it kind of ties into, if you know who Jim Rohn is. Jim Rohn, he was born in 1930. He died a couple years ago. He died in 2009. He's one of the original motivational speakers. Probably one of the most influential ones. He influenced people like Tony Robbins and a lot of the big guys today. And he just had really the foundation. He was a millionaire by the time he was 31 years old. So he was a millionaire in the 60s when he was still practically a kid. But really one of the things he talks about is attitude disease. Now we got some more people on. So he talked about attitude disease. What does it take to have the right attitude? Not just being around the right people, but you have to be a risk taker. You have to be willing to take risks. Because if you win, like he's trying to start a business or really anything you're trying to do in life, but if you win and you get your goal, you'll be happy. And if you lose, well, you'll be wiser. You will have learned something. So either way, you're going to win. And you have to figure most of the people who are masters at what they do, they've probably lost more times than someone who is trying to do it new or who's tried it several times. So the more you lose, the wiser you get, and the closer you are to success. So you got to take risks. What's the alternative to that? Some people say, well, I want to be safe. I want to be comfortable. I want to be, I don't want to take those risks. Well, that's good. We can get you a cell in Attica. We can get you a bed, and a nice comfortable bed, and you get 3 meals a day, and you don't go anywhere or do anything or experience anything, and you'll be nice and safe in your little ecosystem. Okay? That's the alternative. So in order to grow, you've got to take risks. Calculated, yes, but you got to keep taking risks. That's how you learn. The next big thing he talks about is pessimism. Now, there's all these people who will look, the glass is half full and half empty, that old adage. Well, it's very true. Pessimists will often look at something and they will find out, they will look at something and look at all the reasons why something won't work. And until they will do that, until they will convince themselves that it will not work under any circumstances. And that could be true for anything, from starting a relationship. Well, why won't this work? Or why won't this particular business work? Well, you could do that with anything. What you need to do to move forward and to be successful is you have to look at all the reasons why it will work. In fact, more to the point, you have to look at all the reasons how it will work and how you're going to make it work. And you have to focus on how it is actually going to work. And, you have to get away from all the naysaying and the negative activity that surrounds you generally, certainly when you're starting out. Optimist, it all just depends on the way you think. However you do anything, it all just depends on your thought process. You have to get better thinking habits, okay? Because if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you're right. So you're right either way. I think that's from Winston Churchill, If you think you can, you're right. If you think you can't, you're also right. So focus on thinking that you can. It's a mindset. It's a mindset. Get away from the analytical and go for more of the emotional. Just focus on how you can get whatever it is you're trying to get done. You also have to stand guard at the door of your mind. That's what he talks about. You have to stand guard. In other words, you got to get away from, it's very poignant right now, you got to get away from all the media, the newspapers, magazines, television. I mean, some people used to, I remember he talked about starting his day when he was younger, before he realized. He used to watch the news in the morning. It's like the worst thing you can do. Let's see the murders, the rapes, the war, everything horrible in the world, and you feed your mind with all that crap. It's the worst thing you can do to start your day, and you have to stand guard away from that, and you have to fill your head with more productive things. I've suggested, I do these fairly often. There's a lot of books that I suggest over time. Everything from The Miracle Morning. I mean, there's The Compound Effect, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, there's Think and Grow Rich, How to Influence People. I mean, there's hundreds of books that can feed your mind in a lot more positive ways. And you should be doing those things rather than filling your head with the Kardashians and media, those types of things. But you have to be guard to what you put into your mind and what you surround yourself with. It's very important. The last thing is complaining. Okay, if you spend, and I love this, he goes, if you spend 5 minutes complaining, crying, whining, you just wasted 5 minutes of your life, okay? If you don't control your mind, okay, and how you're thinking, good chance somebody else will. Okay, somebody will. You You are either the leader. You're either influencing or someone is influencing you. So why not take a stand and be the person who's influencing you, and have the foresight and have the independent thought process and the control of what's going on in your own head. Okay? I hope that helped. Those are some tidbits. Those are some golden nuggets from Jim Rohn. If you don't know who he is, look him up. Buy some of his books. Get some of his CDs. I actually put his CDs in my car all the time. Yeah, that dates my car, doesn't it? I have a CD player. I think I bought the car because I had a CD player. I can't believe that's old school now. I don't know if you can hear the sirens. Something's going on outside. Dang. Other than that, thanks for listening. We'll talk again this weekend. I might do another Cigar with Andy, either tonight or tomorrow. Probably tomorrow. I might do another video tomorrow with the cigar time, and we'll talk some more. Thanks for listening, and have a good night.